Welcome back everybody to another champion concept video. Today I'm going to be going over a fighter slash bruiser champion that I came up with that scales really well into the late game and has a lot of fun toys that can help you win a lot of games. His name is Lancel, the Embracer of the Judge's Mark. And like always, if you guys like this sort of content, please leave a like and a comment down below, as well as subscribe to the channel. Helps out, and let me know if you guys want to see me work on any other type of champions or even rework some champions. So with Lancel, he is a very fun bruiser champion. This is a champion I've always wanted in League of Legends. Somebody who has, I guess the biggest thing with bruisers is a lot of them don't scale really well into the late game. You think of champions like Renekton, champions like Darius. They play very well early, even very well in the mid game, but they don't have a ton of late game pressure unless they're the one who gets a pick or they're already extremely fed out of their mind. But with Lancel, he actually has a lot of good moves that's going to help him scale into the late game, and a lot of it comes from his very unique passive that we'll get into here. So with him, his passive is known as of Sword and Shield. Lancel wields two very powerful weapons, demi weapons. One is Armada and one is called Caliber. These weapons have the unique ability to be upgraded during the game, changing both their stats and their appearance. This is something that's never been done before in the game. The one thing you can kind of compare his passive to is the Hex Tech core that Victor wields. But other than that, there's no other champion in the game that has a form of progressive item that you actually have in your inventory the entire game. Each upgrade Lancel can buy will also add their own unique effect to one of Lancel's abilities. So, like I said, very similar to Victor. As you guys will see, there's a lot of differences here. And only one upgrade can be purchased at a time. So this is the big thing, is that throughout the game, you're going to be able to change this item, or you can buy another version of this item. And it's not extremely expensive, but it will change and alter something about him. And I think it's very unique. Now, the one thing with the numbers, as you guys will see, is that this doesn't really take into consideration what would happen late game. I was thinking maybe at level 18 something else would change a little bit, and we'll kind of go into that once I get there, but just kind of know that late game wise I wasn't really sure on how this ability would work. So Caliber is a wide-handled claymore sword imbued with ancient runic marks or magics, and Armada is a long heater style shield, which if you guys don't know what a heater shield is, just go play Dark Souls or basically any mythological game. It's gonna have a shield in it. And this is a very interesting shield because it has a built-in iron whip, and I put with the torque lever gas powered. Basically just means that it is a old school style whip, like an old school style mechanical system, and which makes it really unique and can be very powerful as well. So you'll see here he has 5 different marks that he can add to his weapons, all of them giving him stats, and some of them also giving him bonuses. So gold wise, they're all about 1,000 gold. I think once he hits level 18, that this would increase by 1,000 every time you buy a different one. And let me know what you guys think about that. So every time he buys at level 18, if he switches and buys a different mark, the next one will cost 200 or 2,000, and then after that the next one will cost 3,000. I think that will keep it pretty balanced, at least in the late game, to where you're not constantly buying one of these every single time you're alive, or like if you die, you just sell the item, buy a new one, or raising it by 500. Let me know what you guys think. But we'll start with Reinforced. So Reinforced is 1,000 gold. He has a flat 25 armor and a flat 15 attack damage. No upgrades, no bonuses. This is just a flat damage. This is just a flat normal item. This is just going to give him some early game stats, and then he can kind of build off of one of these next 4 runes as being his main rune. So you have the Mithril, the Coronos, the Zelium, and the Thonora. Don't ask me where I came up with these names, just kind of comes out. And so each one of them give him a certain amount of AD per level, as well as armor. Now you may say, oh, that's a lot. It is, and I think these numbers can be scaled down to, you know, if needed be. But also, he's not going to be building a lot of armor in his kit. I would make sure that his ratios are he would need to build a lot of damage for him to actually be able to, use some of his abilities very, very well. So he would have to build a lot of AD and not just focus on building a lot of armor. So we'll get into his first actual ability here, which is called Judge's Wrath. This is a 3-part skill shot. Lancel unleashes an array of attacks using his arsenal of demis. The first one is a straight skill shot, sword stabbing type of move with his caliber blade, dealing physical damage. The second one, he spins in a circle, damaging all enemies around him with his blade. And then the third one, he leaps into the air, slamming his torque whip from Armada down in a much longer range of a skill shot, also dealing physical damage. So you can already tell this is very similar to kind of a Aatrox Q on how it would operate. Also giving bonus magic penetration if the target is hit with the skill shot range of 650 to 750, which is basically the tip of the skill shot. So like I said, very similar to Aatrox. However, with its upgraded for the rune, each damage portion also slows for 15% for each ability for 1 second, then decaying. So, using the Kornos rune, you would be able to kite and basically stop, targets from kiting you with using this ability. You're gonna find he doesn't have a lot of movement in his kit, so having an ability like this where he can actually use it to break kiting or actually kite himself will make him very, very useful in lane, as well as getting away from ganks, and maybe later on in the game as well for tracking targets down. The second ability is Strikes Endeavored, which is also a skill shot. This has a 2-part active. So the first active will draw the torque whip out, switching his basic attacks from caliber to Armada, increasing his range by 250. I believe most melee targets, most melee champions are around 300 attack range, and this will give him about 550, which is around what Thresh has, I believe. So not crazy long, but just gives him more of range in lane. The second active will reactivate the ability. Lancel throws his Armada whip in target direction, constricting the first enemy hit. Once target is constricted, Lancel will pull the target towards him and behind him, gradually reducing his movement speed for 3 seconds. The Ethereal Rune adds a bonus magic damage per auto attack for Armada while he is using it as his main form of basic attacks. So, this is basically an auto attack empowerment ability. This is going to give him some poke in lane, similar to how Jace would switch over to his bow form as using his hammer form, just to have a little bit of range in lane. But also the second portion of it could be used as CC. Very unique, being able to pull an enemy towards you and then behind you. I think is very, very cool. Kind of like how Urgot's his E will pull a target towards him and behind him. Just kind of cool. Just a different form of CC, and no crazy damage on the. I don't think the actual pool itself would deal any damage. I think with the rest of the damage that's in his kit would be a little broken. But being able to pull a target towards you, and who knows, maybe if you build Iceborne on him, being able to pull him towards you and then auto attack with the active portion of this is going to slow him a lot, makes it very easy for you to keep them behind you. I guess I was going to say in front of you, but it'd be more to keep them behind you. Okay, so the third ability is going to be called Anti-Particle Field. This is probably the most unique part of Lancel's kit. Lancel casts a field of flux particles around his current location for 6 seconds. The flux field negates any magical-based abilities from activating around him. So basically what this means is that, or from what my understanding of it is, any ability that has AP ratios would kind of be considered a magic-based ability, I believe. So what happens is any ability that has AP ratios will not be able to activate in this area for 6 seconds. Now it's a very small area, as you see, 420 range. That's around him. This is a self-casting ability, so it's wherever he's standing is where this ability casts. The little part underneath this, abilities already active, which are in channels, etc., will still go through with their abilities, their damage, their effects. However, no new abilities can be active inside this field. So the example that I came up with, if Fiddle was standing next to Lancel and starts to channel his ultimate, he would use his particle field. The ultimate would still go through from Fiddle. However, Fiddle would not be able to use the next 3 abilities: his Drain, his Fear, and his Silence. Couldn't use any of those abilities because they're all magic based. The rune portion of this adds damage to it, pulsates 3 times, once every other second, damaging targets caught inside the field, and it's magic base damage. So this is very unique. He has now 2 abilities in his kit which have some magic scaling. Now would that mean that his magic ability would not be able to be used? I would say no. I think his ability, his W, if you were to use that, would still be able to be used. But it's still kind of unique to think about a champion who can actually shut down being able to use abilities, because grounding is something that is very, very recent, recently new in League of Legends, being that Singed and Cassio both have a grounding ability, which stops players from using movement-based abilities, which I think is very cool. So hopefully you guys think the same thing. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think this would be a really cool ability, and just may need to be tuned a little bit to make sure that it's not, completely game-breaking. But like I said, I think it's pretty cool ability. And the last ability, his ultimate, is called Shattered Blade Combustion. This has a few different things here, so just follow along with me. So the first part, Lancel finds a target to execute, slamming Caliber Blade down at target location, dealing massive single target physical damage. If Lancel executes a target, Caliber will penetrate the earth at that location, leaving a crater overflowing with runic magic, which deals magic damage over time for 8 seconds. So, first portion of this is a execute. This is like a Darius dunk. This is like a pike dunk. This is going to be a executing ability. So, if it doesn't execute, the second, basically the 2 parts after, doing the damage do not happen. So if he doesn't kill this target, it will not leave a crater, which will deal magic damage over time. It won't deal the second part of it either. So you have to be on a target that is going to die. Now, if it does, during this time, Lancel will use Armada as his only weapon, because Caliber will be in the ground. Obviously can't be using that. Giving him access to his W and his E only, but on a much lower cooldown. I was thinking like a 70% cooldown. And then the rune ability for this gives Lancel an extra reset with his ultimate, similar to Darius' ultimate. So he is able to, so what this ability is, this is an execute, but also being able to, team fight afterward. So if you think with Darius' ultimate, he's able to fear minions afterwards, which is pretty good for, getting out of, an extra little amount of damage. You gotta think Urgot's ultimate, being an execute, it fears all enemy champions around him. So those are 2 very big ultimates that actually could end up changing the team fight aspect afterwards. So with this, it will deal a ton of damage. If it kills that target, that entire area now will start to radiate magic damage for the next 8 seconds. So which means that you don't really want to fight him around this area. And also on top of this area, Lancel now uses his Armada, which, he has longer attack range. And if he's using that rune, if he's using the rune if he's using this rune, this is going to allow all of his auto attacks to deal magic damage. So it has some correlation there. And if he's using this rune here, it will allow him to do this a second time, so he can actually, he can, kill 2 enemies and then throw this down on the second enemy, and then continue to dish out a lot of damage. And as you see, not a lot of shielding, no real life steal, nothing in this kit that's going to give him any survivability. And I think that would be his weakness, is playing against champions who have the ability to self-heal, who have the ability to close the gap on him, or escape him without getting caught by his W. Now, I think he would be more of a top laner. I could see him as a jungler, but I definitely could see him more as a top laner. And I think the big thing with him is not only that his ultimate would be very, very strong in most team fights, but using this particle field, being able to basically shut down a bunch of targets, whether it's like a Kennen, whether it's a Cassiopeia, whether it's a Karthus, like all of the stuff could end up changing how a team fight is, and could be extremely, extremely strong. I would love to see something like this be put into play for pro play. But let me know what you guys think of this champion. I've been working on him for quite a long time, and this is like the third variation of Lancel that I've done. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and like I said, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.